Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Football Chuggu Podcast. My name is Thomas Durning, and today I'm joined by my co-host, Pearse McLaughlin. Hello, Pearse.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm doing well. And a Merry Christmas, everyone.
And
Uh,
Happy New Year.
on today's podcast, we'll be reacting to last weekend's English Premier League and Scottish Premier League results, and we will discuss the best moments of 2023. And at the end of the podcast, Pearse will be giving a rundown of all the latest Asian football news. So we'll start off with talking about the English Premier League results. So I'll just quickly go through them. So on Friday, the 22nd of December, it was Aston Villa 1, Sheffield United 1. On Saturday, the 23rd of December, the matches were West Ham United 2, Man United 0. Luton Town 1, Newcastle United 0. Nottingham Forest 2, AFC Bournemouth 3. Tottenham 2, Everton 1. Fulham 0, Burnley 2. Liverpool 1, Arsenal 1. And then we had on the Sunday, the 24th of December, we had Wolves 2, Chelsea 1. So, Pearse, from the list of results that I've just said to you, which match stands out to you the most?
I think for me it's got to be West Ham United 2, Manchester United 0.
Mm-hmm.
It's another journey in this roller coaster that has been Manchester United this season under Erik ten Hag. It's just up and down constantly. One week we get a positive result, the next week they're getting humbled, and then they'll somehow get a win to save his neck. But no, I thought they were very sloppy. Didn't create a lot of chances, and a David Moyes side, it's going to be sitting in, stay in the game, and looking to hit the counter attack. And you've got dangerous players like Mohamed Kudus, Jared Bowen, and then also you've got the mastermind in terms of set pieces, as in James Ward-Prowse. His deliveries are exceptional. And obviously West Ham are a big team, so they're going to cause problems in terms of counter-attacking the set pieces. And that's exactly what they did. And Man United played into their hands, although they had all possession, but they didn't do anything with it, and they were sloppy at times, and they were punished. And no, another fantastic result because David Moyes again just proving that he is a solid manager, and I think West Ham were doing pretty decent at the start of the season, and another notch in the belt in terms of Erik ten Hag, and maybe edging closer to the exit door. But no, I thought that was the standout fixture for me.
Yeah, I will. That is one of my standout results. It's not my standout, but obviously just following on from that. So at the time of recording this, Man United also played Aston Villa, and they won 3-2 just after they were. That was the match they played after they defeated West Ham United. So yeah, but in terms of the West Ham United Man United result, obviously 2-0 West Ham, as you said, it's just consistency with Man United. It's like one good result, two bad results, one good result, and it's just there's just nothing there to suggest that there's a team that's a team improving. So to be fair, although it was Man United did get beat, I wasn't really surprised at that result, to be honest. Because I just think that's where Man United are at the moment. In terms of their ability and stuff, I just think that they're not a team that can consistently win games, but back to back. So I wasn't really surprised at that result. But my standout result is the AFC Bournemouth 3, Nottingham Forest 2 match. Number one, it was a really good match. I heard it was a really good match end to end. But I've got to mention Bournemouth. I think we have discussed it on the podcast, but they also won after that match. They also played Fulham and they won 3-0, which was yesterday at the time of recording this. So they just keep winning the games. They just keep winning one after one. And Iraola is just, he's got the time. And look at the results now that they're getting. It's what a run they're on, and the football they're playing is magnificent to watch. Dominic Solanke's banging in goals for them. I think that's 12 goals he's got this season, which is really really good. You want your striker scoring, and it's just what a job he's doing. It's a really good job he's doing. And yeah, that's my standout result. from the English Premier League. So yeah, we'll discuss the Scottish Premier League results now. So I'll just quickly go through them. So we had on Saturday, 21st of December, we had Celtic 2, Livingston 0, Hearts 2, St Mirren 0, Kilmarnock 2, St Johnstone 1. And then on Sunday, the 24th of December, we had Motherwell 0, Rangers 2. And yet, so they were results, they were the matches that were played last weekend. So is there a match there, Pearse, that stands out to you?
I'd probably go with the Hearts to St Mirren 0.
Yeah.
I think obviously at the start of the season, I think Stephen Nace was under a bit of pressure in terms of his job security. But I think he's turned it around, and if it's no doubt, no coincidence that he's got the results with the rejuvenation of Lawrence Shankland. I think in recent weeks, the last couple of months anyway, he's been scintillating form. And I don't know if you've seen his second goal for the game at the weekend.
Yeah, it was brilliant. Yeah, that's all.
It's outstanding technique. Literally takes the ball fired into him. It bounces up in the half volley. It doesn't even move. It just swivels left foot,
Yeah,
pinpoint corner. It's one of the best goals you'll see this season in the Scottish Premiership, and that is why for me he's not just pivotal for Hearts, but he's also pivotal for Scotland. I think someone like him in and around the squad that is just a natural finisher, and obviously get a big game caught as well with Hearts as well in Edinburgh Derby on Wednesday night. So it's going to be an interesting tale there. But no, I think he's been brilliant, and I think Hearts have been brilliant, and obviously St Mirren don't lose too many games, so it's a great result in terms of that, because they're a stuffy side, St Mirren, and they're always a threat in the counter. And they actually play really good football as well, and they cause a lot of teams a lot of problems. So no, I think it was a brilliant result.
yeah. No, that's my standout result from the weekend. But I just think basically it's due to Lawrence Shankland, and then he's by far their most important player for Hearts. I mean, I have no idea where they would be if Lawrence Shankland wasn't in that team. And that was my question to you. I was going to ask you about Lawrence Shankland. Do you think that Hearts will keep him in January? And if they do sell him, how much do you think they should sell him for? Because there is interest in him. I mean, there is interest in him, and he's doing really well at the moment.
Yeah, well, he is a captain now. Obviously, Craig Gordon was a captain before, so he's a standing captain. But for me, like you say, like if you take his goal out of that Hearts team, I think they're fluttering above relegation. I think that's how
Yeah,
important he is. And obviously they struggled towards the end of Robbie Nielsen's tenure. In terms of like, because they were comfortable third when they came out in the first time around, and obviously he was the key to that. And then obviously Liam Boyce and a few other players, Ginnelly, Barry Mackay, Alan Forrest. But I don't know what it is. The attacking players up front for Hearts haven't been contributing goals, so it's literally relying on one man. It's kind of reminiscent of Celtic under Ronnie Dyler, where Lee Griffiths get 40 goals in a season, where you're relying on one player, but there's not any goals spread out all over the park. But in terms of your question with Lawrence Shankland, I do feel as if he will be on the move. I would like to see him stay, but in terms of the valuation, I think they're talking at least about 5 million for Lawrence Shankland, because he's at the prime of his career. He's scoring goals left, right, and centre, and natural goal scorers are hard to find. And I think Hearts in a financial situation where they don't need to sell, and you wouldn't sell someone that is your captain and your star
yeah,
player on the cheap. And in January, it's always a difficult market to replace a player. So, and I don't think you could replace Lawrence Shankland for that type of money. And I think you look in Glasgow, I think someone like Rangers would benefit from someone like Lawrence Shankland's teams down in England and the top end of the English Championship. I think he is that crucial in terms of he just knows where the back of the net is, and that's for me that's one of the most difficult tasks in football. And in terms of Rangers, for example, they've got Cyril Dessers, and he's not prolific. Then Daniel always had his injury problems, and Kamal Roof again injury problems. So they've not really got a reliable number 9. So they're relying on their goals from all over the park. So I think he'd be brilliant for them. And then, like you said, he for me could be on the move.
Yeah, I mean, it's a discussion that's quite topical at the moment. I think a lot of people are talking about it, about Lon Shankland and where his future lies. Um, I don't think he will. I think he will leave, but I don't think it'll be in January. I think it'll be next summer. I think I think if I was advising him, I'd want to stay because like you've got Euros coming up next summer. You know, you want to keep in as much form as you can. You know, and for Hearts, I mean, he's a star player and he's never going to get dropped today. Well, unless he had a sudden drop of form, but like that's never going to happen. And he needs to keep playing and needs to keep scoring. And then he goes into next year's Euros, you know, and brilliant confidence, and and he'll go into that in a really good kind of state of mind. So I don't think it will go in January. I don't think Hearts will sell him in January, and I don't think he'll want to leave in January. So I think it's next summer that I definitely think it will happen. I think you mentioned 5 million there. If I mean, if I'm Hearts, I'm probably looking at potentially double that between 8 to 10 million mark because of how crucial he is. You know, he's a captain. You know, he's quite a good age. He's in his mid 20s. You know, he's a striker as well. And then if you want a striker, the price suddenly goes up because of the fact that they can win the games alone and the fact that he's the captain. I just think Hearts will be. I think if he does leave Hearts, I think it'll be Hearts' biggest transfer fee. I really do. I just think he's just that important to them.
Even more than Craig
Um,
Gordon. What was it to Sunderland? Was it 7 million back in the day?
I think it was actually 9 million to be fair with Craig
Mm.
Gordon. So actually, it could be between that, similar to that. It might be even a bit higher, might be lower. You don't know, but I definitely think Hearts will get a lot of money for him when they do. Because I don't think he'll stay at Hearts. That he will end up leaving. I'm sorry to Hearts fans if there's any watching this, but you know I just can't see him staying because I just think you'll want to keep kind of progressing. And yeah, I think for Hearts, I think they will get a really good fee for him. Um, and yeah, so very interesting. It's quite an interesting discussion, and you never know. Maybe in January we're talking about launch ranking going on the move. You just don't know. So we'll kind of keep our eyes out for that. So in terms of previewing, so we'll preview the Saturday Celtic versus Rangers match. So that's probably, I think we're looking at quite a really, really interesting match. There's only 2 points between the sides at the moment. The match is at Celtic Park. What do you think, Pearse? How do you think that's going to go? What are you expecting?
So I'm expecting a thrilling encounter, to be honest. I think both sides are in a decent vein of form. I think Celtic will be relying on if Carter Vickers is fit, because he pulled up an injury last night in the Dundee game where he felt tight in his hamstring. He didn't pull his hamstring, but for me, having someone like Carter Vickers fit in that defence will give Celtic confidence, and it will also make Rangers a bit more fearful of their defence. Whereas I think if you see someone like, no disrespect, but someone like a Stephen Welsh and a Liam Scales together, you feel we can target them. We can beat them in behind, beat them in the air because they're not the quickest and they're not the tallest. So, and they've not really played much together. Like Stephen Welsh has only played a couple of games since being back for injury. So for me, he's important as someone like a Connor Goldson to back for Rangers. So I think for me, that's like the key areas, like just your defence and your attack. And I think the fact is Kyogo hasn't been on fire in recent times. I think he only scored the other night against Livingston last weekend, and it was his first goal in 7 games, which is unlike him. But who knows? He could come the weekend against Rangers and bag a hat trick. You never know. But with obviously Celtic having the home advantage, I would make them slight favourite. But the form that Rangers have been on has been nothing short of sensational in terms of both Europe and domestic. So I think it's going to be set up for a thrilling encounter. And I think it could go either way. But if I'm going to make a prediction and stick my neck on the line, I would say Celtic a narrow win. I would say probably a 2-1. I don't think either side will get a clean sheet. I think it'll be an end-to-end game, and I think it will be the spectacle of Scottish football and how important this game is in terms of the calendar. I think this is going to be an exciting game.
Yeah, it's always an exciting game. Especially this time because of how much is at stake. The points gap is really really short. Celtic have been in a sticky patch of form. Rangers have been really good form, and Rangers have clawed back that kind of gap that there was a few weeks ago. So it's a very interesting match. In terms of what I think about it, it's hard to call because Celtic, the fact that they're at Celtic Park, that gives Celtic a bigger advantage. Also, there's going to be no Rangers fans there, so yeah, again, Celtic will have the advantage of the fact that they've got the hometown behind them. The Green Brigade are back as well, so that gives that atmosphere at Celtic Park, a bit more. There'll be a bit more atmosphere. But I think for Rangers, this will be the biggest test for Vermont because I think the Rangers players have been accused of their mentality the last kind of couple of years. They go to Celtic Park and they just they get pulled aside and they get beat quite heavily, and it'll be interesting to see how they come into this match mentally with Clemence, because he definitely has improved them. There's no doubt about that. They've definitely improved. He's done a really, really good job at Rangers so far. But I think this will be his biggest test. And I think if Rangers were to get a positive result in terms of a victory, I actually think that would make Rangers favourites to win the title. The fact that they were to go away to Celtic Park and win. So it's going to be really interesting. Celtic as well. They've kind of got a few injuries. Carter Vickers is a slight doubt for the game, which is, a big worry for Celtic because he's arguably Celtic's best centre back. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, I'm going to sit in the fence here. I just can't see anything else but a draw. Okay, I don't know why. I thought about it so much, and I can't split the teams. I just can't split the teams.
I scored or a 0-0.
Yeah, yeah. I mean that we'd have a lot of talk about if it ended up 0-0. Anyway, I hope it doesn't. But what I would say, is I would say if it was at Ibrox, I would actually make Rangers favourites. I just think with Celtic at the moment, it's like there's that they seem to they're struggling with consistency. They're not really they've not really went on a run of results in terms of picking up win after win after win. And yeah, there just doesn't seem to there just seems to be a bit of a disconnection at the moment in the team. And Rangers are coming into it in really good form, but I just think it'll be a draw. I can't see past a draw. It's sitting on the fence, but I'm going to say 1-1. And I think it'll be all to play for. Still in the title race after this match. I don't see any decision making in terms of who's going to win the title after this match. I definitely think there'll be still a lot more to talk about in terms of the title race after this match gets played. So I'm going to sit there and say 1-1.
In terms of other things from as well, mate, you've got obviously Celtic with good injury boost news in terms of you've got Rio Tati and Leo Labada back in the squad. And obviously key injuries to Rangers as well. I think they've been missing John Lundstrom, which for me, he's one of the standout players since Philip Clemence came in, because under Michael Bailey was kind of thrown to the side towards the end. But I think he was a mainstay. Then obviously suffered a bad injury a couple of weeks ago. So I think the midfield battle is always key in these games. But I think obviously if you win the midfield battle, that's half the battle in terms of one. It's like basically like winning a war. But I think obviously they've been playing Dujon Stelling, who's naturally a defensive fullback playing midfield alongside Cifuentes and Todd Cantwell just in behind the strikers. So I think that's a battle in terms of you've got obviously Matt O'Reilly and Callum McGregor up against probably Dujon Stelling and Justus Fuentes, and that's going to be a key battle. And I think whoever comes out on that in the first 5-10 minutes, that usually kind of shows you what way the result's going to go in terms of the match. And I think that'll be a key battle. and I think it'll be an interesting battle. But I think obviously playing a player out position in the midfield, and obviously with experience, I think experience is crucial in these games as well, because like you said, this is Philippe Clement's first Old Firm game, like in terms of first Glasgow Derby match. Like this is a baptism of fire. Like he'll always win a trophy. It's going rosy. I don't think he's lost a match yet as Rangers manager. I think this is the pinnacle. This is the ferocious, most ferocious match ever and be in charge of anywhere in his career. And I think he's set for 60,000 fans just shouting abuse at him and wanting his team to lose. So he's got to deal with that pressure. And I don't think he would handle much more pressure than this game as well, because I think if they win the match, Rangers, then game one in terms of the title race, then they've pulled away from Celtic and they've got themselves a nice cushion going into the winter break.
Yeah, he's definitely going to realise what kind of, clubs that he stepped into once this match kicks off. But you're totally right in terms of like matchups and stuff, in terms of injuries as well. I think Rangers are missing quite a couple of attacking players as well in terms of Danilo. It's quite a big miss for them. It's definitely. I mean, I'd say that this is probably the most even the sides have been in quite a while in terms of going into this match. I can't remember a match where, I mean, Celtic have the last couple of seasons have been pretty far ahead of Rangers in terms of quality, in terms of, the way they're playing and stuff. But this time, there doesn't seem to be much splitting them. It's a really tight. This is going to be a really tight match. And it's really exciting because I like these type of matches when you go into them and you can't really call it. So no, I'm really looking forward to it, and we'll discuss it next week on the podcast and see how the match kind of fared. So this is obviously the last podcast of 2023. So I just want to ask you, Pearse, what's your best moment, your best footballing moment of 2023? Now that we're coming to the end of the year.
I've got a few. I think probably one of the standout for me has got to be Harry Kane finally getting his move away from Tottenham. I think he thoroughly deserved it, and I think it was a chance for him to go and win trophies and take his game to a whole new level. And we didn't know what was going to happen with Tottenham. Would he stay? Would he go? And I think he said before the season he was going to leave before the first Premier League game of the season, and that's how it turned out. And he hasn't looked back since. 'Cause I think he's been in sensational form, and he's on course to beating Lewandowski's record of 41 league goals in a Bundesliga season. And I think he's already got 21, so I think he's halfway there, and that's then finished up for the winter break. And they're in for a serious title race this season in terms of Bayer Leverkusen. 'Cause I think they've been a standout in terms of the Bundesliga. But no, for me, Harry Kane. What do you think about that then, Tom? About Harry Kane going to Bayern?
Yeah, no, that's definitely for me the biggest transfer of the year. I never expected it before the summer window kind of opened. I never expected Harry Kane. I didn't even expect him to leave. And the fact that he left, the fact he's England captain and he leaves to go to Germany, is quite a big moment. Definitely a big move. Definitely for me the biggest transfer. Of the summer. We've also had the introduction of Saudi Arabia, kind of buying big international players as well. So that's been something that's been quite a big moment in 2023 in terms of transfer news. So I think we're going to see a lot of that, more of that in 2024 in terms of big players moving to Saudi Arabia. Go back to Harry Kane. That for me, that definitely was the biggest transfer of 2023. And he's living up to it because I mean he's in hot form at the moment and he's banging in the goals for Bayern Munich, and he's definitely money well spent. Did you have anything else, Pearse? Has you got another?
Yeah, well, it's got to be Scotland qualifying for Euro 2024.
Yeah, I was. Yeah,
That's got to be a highlight for me, and obviously some memorable results along the way, beating Spain and at Hampden 2-0, and then obviously the late win in Oslo against Norway. So I think that's for me, it's got to be a standout. securing back-to-back Euro qualifications and being top seeds for the Nations League for the next World Cup campaign. So I think that's got to be all credit to Steve Clarke and Scotland. And for me, the future's bright for Scotland, and it's getting me so excited for next summer in Germany and that opening game where Scotland will play against the host nation. And in the group itself, I think Scotland have got a phenomenal chance, and I'm really excited. And obviously, I just hope all the key Scottish players stay fit in terms of Andy Robertson, Kieran Tierney, John McGinn, Scott McTominay, all your key men that are going to be the heartbeat of the side, to give us the best possible chance to get out of that out of the group and into the knockout stage and see where the journey can take us.
Yeah, no, that's for me. That's my biggest moment. The football moment of 2023, Scotland qualifying for the Euros, because me and you have never seen Scotland qualify outright from a group stage, and it was just the results that were yeah, that they pulled out. That, as you said, the Oslo match in Norway away where they won the last minute. Spain at Hampden, which was, I mean, what a night that was. It was just a brilliant year for Scotland, the national team. Every time we come on this podcast, we only started this podcast in the middle of 2023, so we got to see basically the majority of Scotland getting to next year's Euros. So we've talked about that a lot, about the big performances that they've pulled in, that they've kind of put in. So it's just been a brilliant year in terms for the national team. By far my biggest moment of 2023. Nothing really comes close. And yeah, just brilliant. You got anything else that you can think of?
Yeah, also massive news in terms of like Asian football, in terms of like J League being added to Football Manager, which is obviously a game that I play daily, and I love it. And in terms of the J League as well, getting more exposure in terms of the European world, because obviously we've seen in recent times in terms of Scottish football, with Celtic and Hearts, especially they've signed players from the J League themselves in terms of Rio Tati, Kyogo Furuhashi, Daizen Maeda, and then you've got Oda at Hearts as well, and to name a few. But no, in terms of obviously Matoma in the Premier League as well, ripping up for Brighton. So all these players have came from the J League, and it's a league that I watch as well quite closely. And all the matches are free to watch on YouTube as well. So it's for the J League. And I think it's a fantastic league and some fantastic players, and it's just a fantastic bit of business in terms of Football Manager securing the rights for that league, because it's another league where you can just find some hidden gems.
Yeah, it's definitely, in terms of just following up on that, it's definitely something that, that example that you just said, things like that are just showing that Asian football is growing year after year. You know, um, as you said, you mentioned the players that are now playing in the big leagues in the world. Like with Thomas. So it's just things like that are just showing that Asian football is progressing year after year. And it's going to become a point where Asian football is going to be quite a big footballing nation in terms of a lot of people watching it, because I think the viewership are growing year on year as well. So really exciting times for Asian football, and obviously things like that where they're now playing on Football Manager. That's quite a big milestone as well. And so yeah, but there's just so many moments.
Yeah,
There's just so many moments. Uh, but definitely for me, like my biggest moments, Scotland qualifying for the Euros. I just thought it was a brilliant year, and I love watching it, watching the journey, and I can't wait until next summer, and me and you discussing it on the podcast about how Scotland are faring in the Euros. It's going to be so exciting.
I'll be sober, you'll be pushed.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It's going to be brilliant, and it's been such a great year in terms of football as well. A really good year, and yeah, roll on 2024. It's going to be really exciting. Our kind of crazy year of football, which I'm really looking forward to. So for the final part of the show, Pearse will now give his Asian football roundup.
Yeah, so Celtic started their January sales early with Japanese champions Vissel Kobe agreeing an £870,000 deal to sign forgotten on loan midfielder Yusuke Ideguchi. The 27-year-old was at the centre of a battle between Vissel Kobe and his current loan club Avispa Fukuoka, who Ideguchi helped win the Japanese League Cup this season. Vissel Kobe have won the battle after agreeing a fee with last season's title winners Celtic. The player will officially sign on the 15th of January when the G League transfer window opens. The Japanese international midfielder returned to his homeland earlier this year after a frustrating spell in Glasgow. He suffered an ankle break in one of his first games back in March, but recovered quickly and was nominated for Player of the Year for his performances in the G League One. Kobe needed a replacement in midfield after Mitsuki Saito suffered a long-term injury. And Kobe also see Ideguchi as a long-term successor for captain and Japanese international Houtaro Yamaguchi, who is now 34 years old. Celtic will make a small profit on the £850,000 investment they paid to Gambo Saka back in 2022. So, Shinsuke Mito has signed for Sparta Rotterdam in the Eredivisie for an undisclosed fee. Mito, 21, had a stellar campaign in the G League One with Alberts Nagata and was rightly so won the Best Young Player Award for 2023 at the G League One Awards. A small attacking diminutive midfielder, and at just 21 years old, I expect him to take Holland by storm. So Kang and Lee and Takefusa Kubo, two rising stars in Asia for the respective countries in South Korea and Japan. Lee and Kubo first crossed paths back in 2013 when Kubo was in the Barcelona's academy and Kang and Lee was in Valencia's academy. And 10 years later, they will now cross paths again in the knockout stages of the UEFA Champions League. It's a truly incredible journey of both attacking talents of the Asian culture. So, Vent Fore Kufo rookie Soto Miura has been called up for the Samurai Blue Japan squad for New Year's Day friendly against Thailand. Certainly a rare occasion for a J League 2 player to get a call up for a national team. Only other occasions I can recall is Koki Ogawa back in 2019 and Wataru Endo, now of Liverpool, back in 2013. So following the board meeting held on Tuesday, December 19th, the G League has decided to implement a seasonal transition from the 2026-27 season and to consider any remaining issues related to the matter. So the 2026-27 season will begin approximately the first week of August 2026, with a winter break then held from around the second week of December until around the third week of February 2027. The season will then conclude the final week of May 2027. So Serbian manager Ranko Popovic has accepted the role as manager of G League One side Kashim Antlers. The former Buriram United manager brings extensive coaching experience from well-known teams in the G League One, including Cerezo Osaka, FC Tokyo, Oito Trinita, and newly promoted side FC Machida Zelvia. And obviously, breaking news as well in terms of the G League One 2024-25 season. We now have the release fixtures of the opening day. So all matches will be played on Saturday, the 24th of February, 2024. And those matches are Avispa Fukuoka up against Hokkaido Consadole Sapporo, Cerezo Osaka against FC Tokyo, newly promoted side Jubilo Iwata will have host the reigning champions Vissel Kobe, which you couldn't ask for a tougher task. Kawashi Reysol host Kyoto Sanga FC, and then newly promoted side FC Machida Zelvia will also host Gambo Osaka. Lugo Grampus against Kashima Antlers, Sagan Tuso versus Alberts Nagata, Sanfrecce Hiroshima versus Urared Diamonds, Shonan Belmare versus Kawasaki Frontale, and the third newly promoted side is Tokyo Verde versus Yokohama F Marinos. So in terms of the three promoted side, I think they've got very tough tasks, but all got home matches. So that'll be a fantastic achievement for them to host such big teams on the return to the G League One. And that's all your latest Asian football news.
Thank you, Pearse. And thank you everyone for listening to this episode of the Football Chuggu Podcast. This podcast will be available to listen to on the Football Chuggu YouTube channel and also the Football Chuggu website. Thanks for listening to us this year. We only started this podcast at the start of the year, but it's kind of flown by. So just to sign off, thanks for listening in 2023, and see you soon.
Yep, see you soon. Stay tuned for more content coming your way.